Jewish only. I like to call them Jim Crow settlements because that's really what they are. They're segregated housing developments built on land taken by force. And what you see is increasing resistance to that in the form of protests by Palestinians. Some of it is, you have a lot of nonviolent resistance. You have some stone throwing, which is a more or less universal form of protest. Settlers throw stones all the time. Very religious Jews throw stones on the Sabbath at people who they see as violating the Sabbath, or other groups of Jews, or at the police. Stone throwing is very common. You never see the Israeli police or army shooting Jews for throwing stones or placing them under house arrest. But in the Palestinian areas where the settlers are coming in and taking the houses and taking the land, you see Israel going to extreme lengths. So this again, just from yesterday, the Israeli police in Jerusalem are imposing high fines and house arrest on Palestinian children in occupied East Jerusalem to prevent stone throwing at Israeli vehicles. Now, these are Israeli settlers. I'm not condoning it, but I'm giving you the context. These are settlers who have come to expel these children and their families. They're not just tourists coming for a nice day out. And this report from the Man News Agency highlights a couple of shocking cases. On October 17th, an Israeli court placed 12-year-old Omran Mohammed Mansour under house arrest after he was identified in news footage being run over by a local settler leader, David Berry, in the Flashpoint Silwan neighborhood, where Israel is demolishing dozens of homes to build a Jewish-themed park. I think they call it the City of David. Mansour was fined 2,000 shekels on bail, and his family was ordered to sign a further 10,000 shekels bail. But here's another case that was really shocking. Sixth graders, Mohammed Mukhemer and Mohammed Radwan from Beit Ur Tahta, said border guards locked them naked in the bathroom of Petah Tikva Detention Center and left them for 2 days with the air conditioning on. The most awful thing that happened was when the soldiers went to the bathroom, they peed on us and did not use the toilet, Mukhemer said, adding that one of the soldiers videotaped the incident. Mukhemer also said he was kicked and beaten with rifle butts. Now, this is a case that is typical of testimonies collected by two Israeli human rights groups, B'Tselem and HaMoked, detailing, quote, the state-sanctioned ill-treatment of interrogees in the Petah Tikva Detention Center. And the two organizations, in a report released just last week, said the testimonies of 121 detainees indicate a clear pattern of activity by the authorities which constitutes cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. What caught my attention about Petah Tikva is that I live in Chicago. Chicago's my hometown. And Petah Tikva is a sister city of Chicago in the official Chicago Sister City program. And the Palestine Solidarity Group in Chicago is waging a campaign to break this tie, because we don't think that Chicago should honor Petah Tikva with this program, when Petah Tikva is in essence Israel's Guantanamo. Another report from Defense for Children International, I won't go into detail, but from November 1. Palestinian children face increasing settler violence. That children in particular are being targeted by the settlers. And the point I want to make here is that settler colonialism is a very violent process. Now, because we always hear, Palestinians being told, why don't you act like Gandhi? Why don't you be like Martin Luther King? Maybe you'd get a lot further. Well, of course, most Palestinian protest has been nonviolent. The response is Israeli violence. It is, and I'll give you, happy to go into statistics in the Q&A. But the point I want to make here is, imagine if Israel adopted nonviolence in order to build settlements. How many settlers would there be in the West Bank? Just imagine, if instead of using brutal violence to take people's land and homes, Israel adopted Gandhi-like tactics to settle the West Bank. What would that look like? Israeli settlers, pacifist Israeli settlers, going door to door and saying to Palestinians, we really like your farm. Would you give it to us? We don't believe in violence, so we won't force you. It's completely voluntary. There would not be 500,000 settlers in the West Bank today. So the point I want to make here is that the settlements and the violence are totally intertwined. You cannot have Israeli settlement without systematic violence, without routine torture, without routine cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. And that is, of course, what every human rights group, Israeli, Palestinian, and other, that has looked into the situation has found. Talk briefly about Gaza, and then I want to sum up where I think we have to go in terms of how to resolve this situation. Gaza is simply put a prison. I was last year, I tried to go to Gaza as part of the Gaza Freedom March. We were unable to get in. I know many people who have tried to go to Gaza who faced extreme difficulties getting in. Some have succeeded, others haven't. But more important, the people of Gaza, 1.5 million people, are in prison. Half of them children. 750,000 people of the population are under the age of 18. What is their crime? Now, the Israeli excuse is, of course, security. We withdrew from Gaza in 2005, and what did we get in exchange? We got rockets. We got 8,000